Hello everyone and welcome to my newest video about MTG Dominaria. The new set will be released on the 27th of April and everybody's super excited. I mean, after the big leaks and spoilers for Masters 25, this will be the next really big thing. I mean, it's a really important deck for Standard and the circulation in Standard. Of course, you saw it maybe on other leagues before. On the title cover, you see really three important characters from Magic the Gathering, for example, Khan or Teferi, and so the people asking themselves what will be in this new set, what kind of cards. And yeah, a few days ago there was a big leak. And yeah, a few cards were spoiled, not the artworks, but the cards themselves with their names and the mana cost and what they're exactly doing. So I would say we just get into it and we start with the Planeswalker. Good. First Planeswalker is Karn, Scion of Urza. Legendary Planeswalker Khan, of course. He comes into play for 4 mana with 5 counters on it, +1 counter. Reveal the top 2 cards of your library. An opponent choose one of them, put that card into your hand, and exile the other with silver counter on it. Okay, interesting. Then -1, put a card from your own with a silver counter on it from exile into your hand. Okay, interesting. And the last one is -2, create a 0/0 colorless construct artifact creature token. With this creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact you control. Okay, this card can be really interesting for artifact decks, of course. The next Planeswalker is Teferi, Hero of Dominaria. Which is also a legendary Planeswalker, of course. +1, draw a card. At the beginning of your next end step, untap 2 lands. Okay, that is pretty nice. -3, put target non-land permanents into its owner's library. Third from the top is also pretty nice. And -8, you get an emblem with whenever you draw a card, exile target permanent an opponent controls. Okay, this Planeswalker is pretty strong. I mean, it's a little bit expensive with 3 colorless and 1 white, 1 blue. He comes into play with 4 counters on it. I think that's fair. This card will definitely see play in of course, I think Standard and also in Modern, I think. And the third, and I think this is the most interesting, is Jaya Ballard. Comes into play for 3 red mana, 2 colorless, also legendary Planeswalker, and comes in with 5 counters. +1, add 3 mana, spend this mana only to cast instant and sorcery spells. It's kind of similar to Chandra, Torch of Defiance, but I think it's with 5 counters on it and 1. I think it's more competitive than Chandra, Torch of Defiance. +1, discard up to 3 cards, then draw that many cards. Also pretty interesting. -8, you get an emblem with your may cast instant and sorcery spells from your graveyard. If a card cast this way, you would be put into graveyard. Yes, exiled instead. Okay, the third Planeswalker is definitely a thing. In my opinion, it's pretty strong. It's pretty good. I would love to get one of these. Okay. The next thing are the legendaries. Legendaries, there will be legendary creatures, 1 legendary enchantment, and I will get into it later on the next slide. There will be also legendary sorceries. But for the legendary creatures, we know that there will be Jodar, Archmage, Eternal. Yeah, it's a 4/3 for 4 mana. It's nice, flying, and you may pay 1 mana of each of kind of mana which are existing, rather than pay the mana cost for spells that you cast. Okay, that is pretty interesting. The next legendary creature is Quende, Pride of Femarath. It's a 2/2 double strike. Creatures you control with Thirst Strike have double strike. Interesting. The third card is Kazarov, Sangir, Pure Blood. Legendary creature, vampire. Maybe interesting for the vampire tribal. I can't say. It's a little bit expensive for 7 mana. It's flying for 4. Whenever creature an opponent controls is dealt damage, put a +1/+1 counter on Kazarov Sangir Pure Blood. Okay, and 3 colorless mana, 1 red. Kazarov deals 2 damage to target creature. Okay, that's interesting. That can be probably a nice finisher for vampire decks, tribal decks, but we will see. Maybe we'll see play in standard. And Lich Mastery is the legendary enchantment. It is hexproof. You can't lose the game. Okay. Whenever you gain life, draw that many cards. Whenever you lose life, for each 1 life you lost, exile a permanent you control or a card from your hand or graveyard. When Lich Mastery leaves the battlefield, you lost the game. You lose the game. Okay, I'm not sure if that card will really see a kind of play in standard. Don't think so. Maybe this is an interesting card. I don't know, for Commander. It's a pretty weird card in my opinion. It is a really strong card, but also really vulnerable. I mean, it's just an enchantment, you know, and to secure your enchantment, this is probably really hard. But let's get into the next cards, which I think are more interesting. The legendary sorceries. We got 4 legendary sorceries, and they're not like normal sorceries, because you only can cast them if you control a legendary creature or a planeswalker. That's the interesting thing about it. It's in the first chapter, or you see it in the first row of the card explaining. You may cast a legendary sorcery only if you control a legendary creature or a planeswalker. So the first legendary sorcery is Primal's Glorious Rebirth. Return all legendary permanent cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. Interesting. Ursa's Ruinous Blast. Exile all non-land permanents that aren't legendary. I think this card is, yeah, that's pretty strong for white-blue control. This is a nice card. Jaya's Immolating Inferno. Jaya's Immolating Inferno deals X damage to each of up to 3 targets. Also nice. Yeah, it's a nice damage card. For example, burn decks. And Karn's Temporal Sundering. Target player takes an extra turn after this one. Return up to 1 target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. Exile Karn's Temporal Sundering. Okay, this is definitely an interesting card. I think it's also interesting for Modern or Legacy, I think. And I kind of remember that this card is right now the card with the highest value of these 4 cards. But we will see. So the next thing in the leaks are the mechanics in the new set. And the mechanics are, the first mechanics will be Kicker. I think everybody of you knows, or hopefully knows, the Kicker mechanics. You see it on the first card. You have always Kicker cost. It's an additional cost to the spell. So these cards are normally really expensive. And the first thing is Grun, the Lonely King. It's an ape warrior. And yeah, you see if Gun, the Lonely King, was kicked and enters the battlefield with 5 +1/+1 counters on it. Whenever Grun attacks alone, double its powers and toughness until end of turn. So this is a pretty good finisher. And On the other side, you see instants with kicker, blink of an eye, which has kicker. It's the same, like it's casting cost, so return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. If that spell was kicked, draw a card. Is okay. I wouldn't say super exciting, but it's okay. And the other two red spells, yeah, aren't that interesting because I think they're just too expensive. The next mechanic is Saga. Saga means as this Saga enters, and after you draw a step, add a lore counter. Sacrifice after the third time you put a counter on it. So Sagas are enchantments that do something as lore counters are added to them. What does that mean? I mean, after the third lore counter is added, then you can finally sacrifice it, for example, and you can play the free triggers on it. I mean, it's interesting. We will see if this is really played that much. I think it's the red one could be an interesting thing for standard. Time of Ice, maybe too, for Fall of the Tron or the Elves Reborn. I'm not sure about it, to be honest, but we'll see. And for the next thing, which I'm more excited about, is about the lands, because we have, or the thing is about the lands. With the new cycle of standard, the lands will be falling out of the standard cycle, and of course, with this reprinting of lands, we will complete the cycle since the allied versions were reprinted in Ixalan, and I think they are called the body lands or check lands, and they were originally printed in Innistrad. So this was really important to do, or that we are finding these cards in this set. And of course, there will be other reprints, like we see on the last slide. Yeah, Land of our Elves, of course, it is just in every elf deck you can think about. This is just a nice mana source. The Goblin War Chief, a lot of people are looking for this card because they want to build maybe new Goblin decks for standard. Siege Gang Commander, of course, and Verdant Force. Verdant Force, I can't really say that much to the card. At the beginning of each upkeep, create a 1/1 green Saproling creature token. It's a 7/7 and it costs 8 mana. Yeah, maybe in green decks, green-red decks. I think probably we will see a lot of these decks again in standard, and also mono-red decks about the goblins. Good. This is everything I know so far. If you like my videos, please subscribe to my channel and like my videos, of course, so I can make more of these. And if you have any comments, of course, please let me know down the video, and hope to see you guys soon again, and have a nice day. Good. Bye.